Hi, Lisa K. Donner here with Liberty Nation, and with me today is Scott D. Cosenza. Scott is our legal affairs editor, and since we're talking the Mueller report all the time, everywhere, we thought we'd change it up a little bit and talk about the case of Jussie Smollett, or rather the lack thereof. Could you tell us, Scott, what is the latest on this?
Well, we have a new release, Lisa, of the text messages that Illinois State's Attorney Kim Foxx sent to her deputy, Joe Magats, after she said that she recused herself. So if we kind of recall, there's a lot that went on fast and furious sort of in that case. I think it was in February that it was February 16th, I believe, that she said that she had recused herself from the case. Now, what that should have meant in Illinois and in most other jurisdictions was that she sort of built a firewall around herself and the other people either in her office who would be prosecuting the case, or in this instance, as I understand it, and I'm not an expert in Illinois law per se, but what I've seen is that it should have been an entirely different prosecutorial office which handled that case. As you can imagine, Lisa, if the second or fourth in command or even the janitor of that building knows that Ms. Fox would feel one way about a prosecutorial decision, whether for or against, they're not necessarily at liberty to then exercise independent judgment, which is the design of that recusal process.
What did these messages say?
Well, the doozy is, and I have it right here, she says, so, ... Now, these are text messages from the state's attorney to her second in command after she has said that she has recused herself. And it says, so, ... I'm recused. But when people accuse us of overcharging cases, 16 counts on a class 4 becomes Exhibit A. So what she's saying there is we're overcharging it. And then she goes on to say that we have pedophiles with multiple victims and 10 counts. Meanwhile, a washed up celebrity who lied to the cops has 16 counts lodged against him. So she's making the clear case to her number 2 that this is an overcharging situation. Now, the thing I thought was kind of interesting about it, and it sort of goes against my own prejudgment against Ms. Fox, is I assumed that she was sort of bought into the whole celebrity notion of it. And it seems like while her behavior, at least, is inappropriate and not okay in terms of prosecutorial norms, it wasn't the sort of celebrity worship type thing that we may have thought, I'll say my own prejudice that I thought. Instead, it just seems like that was a separate instance of malfeasance because of her talk about how he's a washed up celebrity. And it's true, there are horrible cases out of Cook County where there are just a few charges, and this 16 count indictment, it is excessive given the level of damage to another person, perhaps, that Mr. Smollett did. Now, if you count the damage to a city or to a nation, the math goes a little bit haywire on that, I think.
Now, what about the civil suit? Is there something going on with that?
Well, the city of Chicago sent him a letter with a bill, basically, for I think it was like $130,000 or something for the investigation that he caused with his fake, hate crime. And then he refused to pay it. And instead of suing him for that, now they're suing him for the sum total of the investigation and the legal costs to sue him for suing for those costs. So we're talking, I think the latest tally I saw, Lisa, was just under $500,000 they're asking for now. But that's a state lawsuit in Cook County, Illinois, so it'll be a while before that works its way through the court system.
Interesting. So is it possible for Smollett to actually be charged again, or is he like once and for all off the hook? What's the deal here?
Lisa, this is a question I've dived as deep as I can to try to figure out the answer. The legal machinations that led him to be able to walk out of court and just surrender his bail were not fully disclosed to the public. So they null prosed the case. And in fact, there was a joke that they
okay, what is null pros the case?
Right, and that's NOLLE PROSSE, and it's just a Latin term that prosecutors use when they tell the judge that they're no longer going to go forward with a prosecution. And in fact, the Chicago Tribune reported that around the courthouse since then, people are asking for Smollett process, which is, I guess, what happens when it's Jussie Smollett. But so there are two general ways.
Latin term, right?
Right. There are two general ways that cases can be dismissed: with prejudice and without prejudice. With prejudice means that the state is prejudiced against bringing other charges. They cannot bring future charges. The answer to your question, the long and short of it, is I don't know. But I'm guessing that it will never happen, because even though it's infuriating, the dropping of the charges, especially given Mr. Smollett's continued protestations of innocence in light of getting off. I mean, talk about a bag of gold special. But there was no corruption in the sense of, if she took money to reduce the charges or something like that, then they could be, I think, more easily opened up for re-prosecution for Mr. Smollett. But just poor judgment on the part of the elected prosecutor of Cook County, I don't think will be a basis for additional state charges.
All right, but there is the other avenue of federal charges, and my understanding is that it's been said anyway that justice is looking into this. I mean, what are the chances that he might be charged on that level?
We do know that the federal criminal authorities in the FBI and the U.S. attorney for Illinois are looking into it, and is it possible to believe that he was a hoax, hate crime attack hoaxer just weeks after a genuine threat sent by mail with some fake anthrax? I mean, I tend to not believe in coincidences like that, so I would suspect that he is the author of the hate letter that he received, and will be prosecuted federally for that, because it seems like, given the evidence against him in the state case, with paying for the attackers with a check, for instance, and buying the noose at a local hardware store and that sort of thing, it's almost doubtful to believe he was clever enough to pull that off without any evidence. So we don't have an idea yet in terms of an actual official announcement, but it seems like federal charges will be forthcoming.
Well, maybe the mailman will be coming in handy. But anyway, thanks so much, Scott, for this update. It's nice to get kind of a breather away from the Mueller report for just a few minutes. Everyone, please check out Scott's articles on libertynation.com, and don't forget to download his podcast, The Uprising. It is really a great listen. It's great fun. I listen to it when I'm working out, so I hope you will subscribe and join us in that. Thanks very much, and have a great week.